Hi, John here. It's Friday, the 6th of September 2024, and I'm just going over a couple of videos of John Adams and the Citizens Australian Party here, and ASIC, that's the investigation of crime of what I'm doing with corrupted government organisation with money, gold, and also with what we're going to talk about in a minute when we watch this clip. Okay, so I'll flip this around and put it straight on Rob and John Adams.
It's decided not to do that. But what I presented as my complaint is very different and much more general than what you have presented in your complaints to the NAC, which are much more specific instances that would be much harder for the NAC to turn down.
Well, all I can say is that in regards to the Deputy Chair, Karen Chester, we're approaching 400 days since that complaint has gone to the NAC. I have sources saying that there is an investigation. Certain people have been interviewed. Now, the one thing I'll say is in 400 days, the NAC has not picked up the phone to ask me any questions, which I find highly distressing because there's a lot of very specific, complex information that I've presented, and if they're not going to talk to me, I don't have confidence as to whether they actually know and understand the gravity of what I'm actually trying to tell them.
Combine that with the fact that it's not even, the email or the letter doesn't even have anyone's name on it. The NAC is a real black box. Anthony Clan's criticisms, I think, are fairly justified.
Australia.
Well, here's the thing. The NAC's been operating now for about 13, 14 months. At some point, the NAC has to land a blow.
Sure.
Because at some point, people are going to say, well, why do we set
John
up
Adams
this
is a
anti-corruption
gold
body
economist
if they can't find corruption?
in
I mean,
Australia.
no one believes in this country that the government's 100% clean. There are some dirty people inside the Commonwealth in terms of the federal government. So the NAC has to deliver. When will they deliver? We'll have to wait and see.
But if they did set up the NAC to look like it was hunting for corruption, but actually never really intend to hunt for corruption, that would be a very Australian thing to do. that is how that's what Australia excels at in terms of the way Australian governments work. And I would argue that in practice ASIC has pretty much been of a similar kind.
Okay, now, Robbie. So we talked about ASIC, and we have people inside ASIC saying that allegations of corruption are legitimate and real and substantive. We obviously have now talked about the NAC. You're now out of the NAC process. Let's see if the Citizens Party goes back to the NAC with a new complaint. Or
no, I'm demoralised, mate. You've ruined it for me.
I ruined it for you. So now we get into what I've been working on for 3.5 years. And here's the thing, Robbie. This whole journey of ABC Bullion and then ASIC, it's not something I asked. Like, this is not something I wanted to do. In early 2021, I was obviously doing things about economic analysis, talking about debt bubbles, monetary policy. Obviously, there was the whole issue of COVID and the COVID response, and there was a lot of things that I was talking about there, enjoying life. And then two events happened, which I thought to myself, I've got to do something in. Now, again, just for the record, so there's no allegations of conflicts of interest. In early 2021, I was working in the bullion industry. I was the chief economist for for one of the sizable dealers in the country. I had joined them in 2018, and then what happened was, in the period of February, March of 2021, I started to hear stories about Perth Mint customers who were not able to obtain their silver where they had invested it in certain products. And so this was not one source, there was multiple sources all across the country saying there's something happening at the Perth Mint. So in mid-March of 2021, I went public on Twitter saying that the Perth Mint was in default of their obligations to deliver silver consistent with their terms and conditions. Now, because I had been shadow banned by Twitter, and this is Twitter under the old leadership, not under Elon Musk, I thought 1,000 people would see the tweet. Well, what happened? Within 2 weeks, over 365,000 people across the world saw my declaration that the Perth Mint was in default, and that created a huge firestorm right across the world. I did a lot of interviews. The former CEO Richard Hayes was interviewed by ABC Radio Perth. He denied there was anything wrong, and obviously within the space of 6-7 months, he was thrown out of the Perth Mint due to a whole host of allegations of impropriety in terms of happening there. But in this period of time of
Sorry, just for the, not to spend too much time on this, but for the benefit of the people who don't know the subject as well as you, the Perth Mint, even though it's the Perth Mint, and there's lots of sub-cities in Australia, it's pretty much the cornerstone of the bullion sector in Australia, would you say?
Yes.
And it's owned by the WA government, and its history goes back to the fact that WA has always been a big resource state, big gold producer, etc.
Yes.
Right. So it's not just one city's mint; it is the establishment bullion company for the country.
Well, yes. I mean, you have the Australian Mint, owned by the Australian government, that produces, particularly in terms of our official coinage.
Yeah.
You have the Western Australian Mint, of the Perth Mint, that was basically established in the 19th century about the gold rush and all the gold production that was happening in terms of WA. And so now, in this context of March 2021, there's a woman from the south coast of New South Wales who went public and said that she had silver in storage at ABC Bullion. She asked for the storage, she asked for her property back, and she was told it was missing. And then she went public on social media, and she basically said, they don't have my property. So now I will say, the night that she went public, she actually emailed me. I didn't know this person beforehand, but she had seen me on YouTube. She had emailed me, and I spoke to her the following morning, and I was able to assist her in dealing with the issue that she did. She didn't actually get the silver back, but she got her money back because they wanted to legally kill the issue, and we have all of that well documented from March of 2021. Now, what happened in April of 2021? I had a dinner with who was then an ABC Bullion employee, and now he's no longer an ABC Bullion employee. But at that dinner, we had talked about this woman's situation. We had talked about the Perth Mint. We talked about the industry in general. And at that dinner, this person made a number of allegations against his employer, and they were very serious allegations about the integrity of their storage program, and that's where this whole thing kicked off. And I thought to myself, well, if you have a woman saying her property is missing, if you have an ABC Bullion employee saying that there's something fundamentally wrong, and again, I'm trying to be careful in my words here. What he actually told me was much more serious in terms of a criminal misconduct. But again, it's not that I came up with this. This is not a John Adams conspiracy theory. I was told by an insider, this is what's happening at the company. And so I thought to myself, well, if I'm in the industry, if I am a precious metal investor, if I want to ensure that we have market integrity, someone's got to do something about this. Because when I was told this, I asked, how long has this been going on for? And again, not my words, an ABC Bullion employee said to me, at least a decade.
And let me interject something here. This is the one and only character reference you'll ever get from me. When I met you in February 2018, and we first made contact in relation to bail-in,
yes,
that's when we started talking. You talked to me about gold the very first day, right? It was clear to me your connection to the gold industry and the gold issue. You were not in the industry at the time. You're not employed by anybody, but you were an absolutely true believer. So when you later on did get a role in the industry, and people would call it a conflict of interest, I've always been prepared to say, well, on paper, yes, but I know John, he's absolutely a true believer. And one of your concerns that you expressed to me from the very beginning, which you'd already been expressing, is that there is this problem in the broader industry of bullion being of sort of paper claims to bullion being traded that's not backed up by actual bullion, and that's been one of your consistent criticisms all along.
Yes,
which is one of the reasons that you were, more than interested in looking into this subject.
Correct. So just to get the timeline right, so we met in early 2018. At that point, I was an investor, so I was buying physical silver in particular. I joined the industry in mid 2018, and then around this period of time, around August, September of 2018, that's when I decided to do a 5-part series with Martin North about the RBA, their gold holdings, and the audit by the Bank of England. And obviously that issue has been taken up quite aggressively by Gerald Rennick, Senator Rennick, in the Senate, and he's been able to obtain revelations about. Initially we were told a few years ago that when they do gold leasing at the Bank of England, the gold doesn't move, and yet the bars have actually now changed. Yeah. So some bars have been melted down. We've had some new bars. The date of production has changed, and Senator Rennick is supposed to say, hang on, if the bars don't move, why have we got new bars? And so we start. And so
I think RBA Deputy Governor Guy Debelle's excuse was because there was some kind of not chipping, what like?
Well, no. What the Deputy Governor of the RBA, the former Deputy Governor, said that the reason why they don't move the bullion around is because it can flake, it can chip,
right.
etc. So when I put that suggestion to people around the world who are in the industry, they thought this was a ridiculous suggestion. Yeah. And obviously there are things happening with the RBA's gold holdings, which Senator Rennick has pursued in terms of that sort of situation.
And we've called for them to be brought back to Australia. Why are they over in the Bank of England? They should be here.
100%. I mean, there's been this suggestion by the RBA about given that London is the centre for gold trading, it's easier if we have it there if we ever want to buy and sell. But yet we haven't bought and sold anything since 1997. So this whole argument we need to be close to the action, it's a completely fallacious sort of argument. But coming back to ABC Bullion. Now here's the thing, Robbie. At the time, I was told, again by an ABC Bullion employee, that ABC Bullion was the largest dealer in the country, bigger than the Perth Mint, because the Perth Mint has a lot of international clients. But ABC Bullion was the biggest domestic organisation. Yeah. And again, so when I get told this sort of information, I thought to myself, well,